Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming back to another episode of the Your Gray Matters podcast. My name is Jason, joined as always by my dad, your host, Neil. Hey, Dad, how you doing?
Fired up, excited, and happy. Hi, everybody. Welcome back.
That's awesome, and I can understand why you're fired up. This week's guest certainly fired me up. We have a Taekwondo champion on, Ms. Sherri, who has all sorts of major accomplishments and is really an incredible person. I know that the two of you met under not the best circumstances, and that's something that we do go into in the podcast a little bit. But tell us why you wanted to have Sherri on today.
Our podcast is about great things that exist, and maybe you're not aware of them. It also brings to you great people, accomplishers, people who are living their dreams, more importantly, helping others live theirs. And Sherri Bedell-Crechiola is just that kind of a person. I met her years ago under tragic circumstances, but it's grown into a great friendship, and she will bring to you the perspective of winning, being an incredible educator, and a lover of people. She is frankly one of the best people that you could ever meet. We're glad to have her on the show.
Yeah, very, very interesting, insightful, moving podcast. So, everybody be aware that there is talk of a little bit of a tragedy involving a child. So, please set yourself for that. Be aware of what you're getting into. If that's something you're not in the mindset to hear right now, put it aside, come back to us. We're always here for you when you are ready. For those of you who are ready now, please remember to hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment. All these things are incredibly helpful in helping us grow.
Absolutely.
And without further ado, here comes this week's episode of the Your Gray Matters podcast. Welcome to Your Gray Matters, the podcast that unveils the miracles already amongst us. Here, we believe that the human mind cannot be defeated. Tune in to discover the fascinating people with extraordinary stories, innovative products, and groundbreaking services. With your host, Neil Silvert, who's earned his gray hair and still has use of his gray matter.
Hi, everybody. I'm Neil from the Your Gray Matters podcast. So excited to have you back. And our show is all about things that exist that maybe you're not aware of. We also love to have special, wonderful people on the show, accomplished people, people who help people with their own dreams and goals. And we are so excited today to have an actual world class champion. I'm going to talk about that. Her name is Sherri Bedell-Crechiola. Sherri, welcome to the Your Gray Matters podcast.
Thanks, Neil. I'm looking forward to talking with everybody today.
Hey, everybody. We're excited to have Sherri on today. Sherri is someone who I met a few years ago through not such a wonderful experience, but we're going to talk about that a little too. But Sherri has been training for Taekwondo for over 30 years, and she had the same instructor. She trained under Grand Master Brian. That was a big honor, I believe. She took over the club after he passed away in 2022, and clearly she was the right person to do it. Sherri competed in world championships in England, Austria, Netherlands, and the last one in Italy in July of 2023. And she received 2 medals in sparring and patterns. I have to tell you, everybody, she has a passion for teaching, and it didn't stop with martial arts and taekwondo. She's an entrepreneur, she's a successful business person, and she actually operates 4 different businesses. But every one of them, I noticed, helps people reach their dreams and goals. Sherri is an incredibly special person. She has an enrichment kindergarten program called Kinder Seeds. I just love that name. We're going to talk more about that great school. She helps adults with disabilities to learn how to live independently. That's another thing that Sherri does so well. We'll come back to that. She has a before and after homework program. I think I'm going to enroll just so I can learn how to do things better myself. And it's a great program and it's super important for kids in school. And that must entail a lot of extra hours. We'll come to that too. And you know what? She teaches the self defense, the Taekwondo. She is not only at her club, but she's teaching at McMaster University, McMaster Hospital, shelters, and she does one on one support. She has a strict discipline and a constant flow through approach. And her students are very successful in and outside the club. And that is a hugely important statement. She has a very fulfilled lifestyle. She got to work with this Grandmaster Brian. Not everybody gets to do that. I believe that you must earn that right. And through that, she has found all the pieces of her journey in this earth. And it's so exciting. Sherri, thank you so much for coming on. I'm just going to call you a teacher, an entrepreneur. You have a heart of gold, and we're thrilled to have you. Welcome again, Sherri.
Thank you, Neil.
Well, we are glad to have you, as I said. Sherri, so I'm going to ask you some stuff because I'm really curious. You're clearly a person who believes in education. You believe in self pride and confidence. And obviously, you believe in a commitment to one's beliefs because you're committed to your own, you are committed to your dreams. But I'd like to ask you, with all that, why martial arts? Why is it so special for you? And if I could drill down just a little bit farther, why Taekwondo? I'm just curious because I love them all.
Well, I've also trained boxing, jiu-jitsu, and grappling as well. And to be honest with you, I joined Taekwondo because my older brother joined Taekwondo and I wanted to join. And my parents had put me in all of the typical sports like dance and piano and ballet and soccer, and none of those things fit with me. I always wanted to be the one like pushing and shoving and being a little bit more aggressive. So I wanted to join Taekwondo. And my parents said, well, actually, my dad said, when you can do 50 push ups and 100 sit ups, then I'll take it seriously because typically you don't stay with a lot of sports that we put you into. Well, actually, they weren't really sports in my eyes, but So every night before I went to bed, when I was 9 and 10, 11, I would practice every single night before I would go to bed. And then one day I said to my parents, okay, I can do it. And I do what? I said 50 push ups and 100 sit ups. And my dad said, if you can do this, I will pay for this sport for the rest of your life. I was like, okay, I got this. And I banged out 50 push ups and I banged out 100 sit ups. And my brother and my dad was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you just did that. So he signed me up for 3 months and said, you make it through 3 months. I'll hold my end of the deal and I will continue to pay for this until the day that you quit. So sure enough, I'm still training. Needless to say, I don't need my dad to pay where I'm paying anymore because I'm a big girl now. But yeah, so I was very successful. I joined Brian's Taekwondo. It was around the corner from where we used to live down the mountain. And my instructor was just an incredible man. I loved him dearly. He's a second father to me. He has given me so many more skills other than just punching and kicking and being able to defend myself. He is giving me discipline, goal setting, wavering, perseverance, a really great base for just the basic fundamentals of life and just how to continue to set your goals and just never, don't give up on yourself. Typically I was the only girl competing in sparring. There was many tournaments where my parents had brought me where there was only boys and they didn't know what to do with me because there was other girls who trained and I would spar with all the boys, and sometimes I would win, sometimes I would lose. But at the end of the day, I always felt really good about myself. So it was just something that I really had a passion for it. I loved. I loved being aggressive and not getting in trouble for it. I love being able to channel that energy. I love being able to break boards and fly high kicks and side kicks and, looking really fancy. One thing that you did ask me is why Taekwondo and why not something else? To be honest with you, I think that if I went into grappling or jujitsu or karate, I probably would have had the same passion if I had the same instructor with the same drive. For
Yes.
me, Taekwondo was just, it was my home base. And like I said, I've been training for over 30 years. I'm a fifth degree black belt and still hoping to continue those dans along the way. And yeah, I always tell people it doesn't matter if you do taekwondo, grappling, jiu-jitsu, karate, kung fu, tai chi. If it brings you passion and love, then that's what's best for you,
Yeah.
right? So I don't really think that one is better than the other. I think it's depending on the instructor and what you get out of it, but then also what you give back. So it's
Yes.
it's exchange. You can't just take, take, take. You have to exchange and make sure that you give other students the same experience that you have. So, it's not for everybody, but for me, it's the basic fundamentals of my whole life between my parents and my instructor and his family. That was my secondary family. So I wasn't on the streets. I would go to school all day and I would train 3 or 4 or 5 times a week and love getting beat up, love beating other people up. The club, it was great. I'd be covered in bruises. And my mom's like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "I love it." So, it was good. It was very, very good. And it was different back then. I mean, now it's a little bit more. You have to be a little bit more,
Mhm.
cautious and aware of families' needs. But back then it was just, yeah, he just good.
It's a wonderful place to be. I have to owe a lot, and I didn't take it as seriously as you. It was a shorter period of time for me, but I was glad to have a sensei in karate who knew how to talk to me and do all those things that you talked about. But your commitment to this is a beautiful, wonderful story because as I've come to know you, I realize this is how you live your life with compassion and expectation to win and a big understanding of people. And for that, I congratulate you. Well, for those of you who don't know, Taekwondo is actually from Korea originally, and it translates to the way of the foot and the fist. But as Sherri said, it's a whole lot more than that. And I certainly congratulate you. I have to ask you though, what's it like to win a world championship or to even compete in a world championship in so many countries? Can you tell us about that experience for yourself?
My very first world championship was actually in England. And I made the world junior team, and I hadn't even received my black belt, but I'd already was competing with black belt. So I was a black stripe, and I competed with the black belts, and I won in my division. So then I went on to the Ontario World Championship, or the Ontario Championships, and then the Canadian Championships, and then I was able to make the World Taekwondo team. You know what? I think when you're in your glory days, you don't realize it's your glory days because you just kind of doing your thing and you're living your best life and you don't really take those pictures or those videos because you're just in it. You just think that this is the way it's supposed to be. Looking back and seeing some of those photos that other people have had of me and whatnot, it's just like, wow, I was pretty good. When you're in it, that's also part of the Taekwondo and the martial arts is that when you're there and when you're at that level, you still need to be humble. You still need to make sure that you're grounded because there's always going to be somebody who's going to be a little bit better, or a little bit bigger, or a little bit stronger, a little bit more skilled than you. And that's part of it. Like, I think, being at that level for so long is incredible, but then being humbled again and having that next generation come up and surpass you per se. It is very humbling, but it's also very exciting to know that, when I go to tournaments, even now, I see young girls or younger people or whatever. And it's like, "Man, are you competing today? I haven't seen you spar for so long. I remember being a little girl watching you, or, I remember, me watching you as a young student." And there's tournaments now that I am able to compete. But for the most part, I think I'm almost done competing just because now I'm at that level where I'm doing a lot of instructing. And there is that kind of forced scene where, you shouldn't really be beat by your junior belt. So it's kind of where you can kind of compete some things, but there's also that level where you have to maintain that respect. So that's a hard part for me. That's why I didn't really grade a lot for my degrees because once you kind of get up in those degrees, you're not really able to compete as much just due to the hierarchy of respect. So I'm still kind of transitioning. I'm still kind of transitioning out of not being able to compete or almost being done. So when I did go to Italy, I was thinking that that might be my last world championship, but who knows? You never know with me. I'm like, you never know. Just depends on how the wind blows that week, and then we'll decide.
I have to say, I love that about you because it's kind of like, so what are we doing next? I don't know. We're not there yet. So
Yeah.
I'm my kind of person. You know, the five tenets of Taekwondo, and I think martial arts really is a way that you also become a teacher. Of course, it's courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self control, and that indomitable spirit that we all hear about in some way, but to actually live that life, to have that for yourself and to have that for other people. It's a great way to live. And I suspect that that's how you run your other businesses when you're educating people.
Absolutely. I think that just making sure that people around you feel really very valuable and that you want to be make sure that, everybody wants a leader. Everybody wants someone to kind of to guide them. But I don't necessarily want to be dragging you through the mud. You have to want to be able to do these things. Even when students come in, they train, they may stay for, a year, 6 months, 5 years, 10 years. And at some point, if they want to transition out, I'm like, that's okay. Like, it's not for everybody forever, but you can always come back. Like I always say, if you're a kinderseed kid, once you're a kinderseed kid, you're always a kinderseed kid. Once you're a Brian at Brian's Taekwondo, you're always going to be a Brian. At ACI, it's the same thing. It's our ACI family. Everything is based around the family need. And sometimes somebody needs a little bit more. Sometimes people stay a little bit longer, and that's okay. But for me, I just want to make sure that people know that if they've transitioned through one of these programs, they could always come back at any time. And we would support them and guide them and make sure that whatever they need, we're here. Or vice versa. Just let us know how you're doing.
Yeah, you're so fabulous with that. And as I've come to know you, I know that is your spirit and your heart. Just before we move on to some of these other amazing things you do, something that you commented on that I love. When I was younger, you didn't see women, but today everybody's invited, and women are competing at the highest levels. Clearly, because I'm talking to a champion. But it's a wonderful thing, isn't it, that martial arts is open to everybody.
Yeah, and I think that's also really key. Some people think that you have to be really very physically fit and very active to join some type of martial arts. With Taekwondo, we have students who are in their 70s. We have students we just opened up a little Dragons Club and they're phenomenal. They're 3, 4, and 5 years old. And they just look at you like, you are just this most precious thing in the world. They think of us like little, like, like the Ninja Turtles or, like these really cool, just characters. And to be able to put a smile on their face and to make them feel powerful and make them feel like their voice is being heard, it's incredible. It doesn't matter what you teach. I truly believe a strong teacher will echo in a child's life
Yes,
forever. It doesn't even have to be a
agreed.
child. It can be an adult. It can be somebody who is just transitioning through some stuff. At the end of the day, we all make mistakes. We all have hard times. Nobody lives this perfect life. We like to think we do, but we don't. Nobody does. And for
Right.
me, the biggest thing is zero judgment. Like, why blend in when you were born to stand out? You don't need to blend it. If there was a cookie cutter for every single person, you wouldn't be original. And if there wasn't those highs or those lows, then you would appreciate either one of them. So just trying to make sure that the students come in and they're a part of a family and you just do your very best. Sometimes it's hard because if I have students from another program where I'm always like loving and kissing them and right, like, just giving them hugs. And then they come to Taekwondo, I'm like, yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. So it's a little different to kind of put different hats on. But at the end of the day, when they come in, they need to bow, they say Taekwondo. And then when they leave, they can say bow and say Taekwondo, but then I give them a hug. So they do know that I love them. And I think one of the key things are if you ask any student who was their favorite to me, I would hope that every single one would say it was them. That's my
Wonderful. That's beautiful. I'm working hard to be one of your favorites too. Oh,
You're already there. Are you
but
kidding me? You got right over there.
well, thank you, but I can't do a push-up or a sit-up, so I'm going to need some help.
That's okay. That's what I'm here for.
Sherry, one of the great, well, actually, the reason that I met you is Kinder Seeds, and I love the name of that place. How about talking about Kinder Seeds? Tell us the story of it and why people should come and see you about it.
I love Kinder Seeds. So Kinder Seeds is Kinder is for kindergarten and seeds are for growing. When you plant those seeds and you nurture them and you love them and you give them sunlight, warmth, and nutrition, they're gonna grow. So for me, Kinder Seeds, I worked in a kindergarten room many years ago, and I had my first
Mm,
daughter. Want to send her to a JK and SK class because it's madness. And she was kind of quiet and very like passive and just a very much observer student. So I opened up Kinder Seeds in hopes that we could educate her through JK and SK, and then she can just start, either SK or grade one when she's ready and she's a little bit more confident in herself and her skills. So I opened it up with four students. I had four boys the very first year, and it only ran 2 days a week, actually, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then the second year, I did the same thing. And then a few years later, I had just had more and more students coming. And I took what I loved about daycare, which is like the smaller ratios, a lot of nurturing, a lot of love, a lot of physical touch with students. And then the academic part from JK and SK, which I loved also of that too. So I kind of just combined the two together. And I do remember trying to get licensed and the big process of all of that. And it was quite a ordeal. But once it went through, everything was good. We support children that are 3, 4, 5 years of age. And yeah, they come in and they come 2 or 3 days a week. Some students now do come full time because JK and SK curriculum has changed, but they're just incredible. Like, I mean, their biggest worry is if, they spill their drink or maybe if somebody knocks over their blocks. And it's just, you walk into there and they just look at you like you were just, they just want time. They just
Yeah,
want time and love, and it is truly magical to see them in that environment, and when you love children, like, when you listen to them, when you get down to their level, when you hold them, when you confide in them, when you let them sit on your lap, when they cry in in your hands or your face or whatever it is because, they're missing their parents. For you to be able to give that love and that sense of security to somebody, for me, it's like no other. It's like no other.
absolutely. And you do it
Incredible.
so well. And, ladies and gentlemen, Sherry has a big heart. I told you that. We actually met each other many, many years ago because of a tragedy that happened to mutual friends. And I don't want to stay on it long, but we today, because of Sherry and the family who is involved, we had to create something called Puddle Day, a very bittersweet program. Sherry, talk a bit about Puddle Day because you have kept the memory alive for all these years for all the right reasons. So, if you can, talk a bit about Puddle.
Yeah. So National Puddle Day, we did have a very, very, very tough loss. Many years ago, one of our little students had left the building, and unfortunately, he was struck on Upper Jane, and his family's vehicle was in a car accident. I did get the news that he had passed away. And, so many things go through your head. Why did this happen to this child, this family? You know, all of these things. And, would have, could have, should have, we've all had losses. Many people have had losses, obviously, along the way. And how do we recover? How do we rebuild? How do you restart, refresh, just get your brain and wrap around things? And so, I'm definitely a doer. I'm definitely somebody who always likes to kind of just make sure that things are okay. And so I had a dream one day that I was flying in a helicopter and over a big field and it said National Puddle Day. And so I wrote it down in my book beside my bed because I have a journal beside my bed that I always write down things because my brain is always going.
Mm.
And I woke up and I saw it. I was like, that's what we're doing. So our little friend loved to wear rubber boots and rain or shine or whatever. And he also loved to wear firefighter rubber boots. So he wanted to be a firefighter. And so I just contacted the fire department and said, listen, I want to do something. I want to create this day. Would you be in support of that? He said, absolutely. And then I had to find an organization that we could donate the money to. So my two main goals were to collect rubber boots and start like a rubber boot closet in lots of schools, or just have like a rubber boot drive where some kids who necessarily couldn't have rubber boots that then they could be offered to them in memory of our friends. So then the other thing was to find out where we were going to donate those funds to. So we chose BFO, which is Bereaved Families of Ontario. And I can say about up to now, we've been doing this for 11 years. We have probably have donated over close to almost $100,000
Yeah.
to this organization. And we're able to get on board EMS, police, and fire. And at that main jump, we try to recognize our first responders who do a really tough job being first on scene at any type of accident. And they too hold, those hard stories. So being able to recognize them and say thank you for all the things that you do for our community, the things that you have to take home to your family, or things that you can't even discuss because your family wouldn't understand. That's a really key factor for me as well. Just kind of giving back to those individuals who are also trying to support us. And the puddles to me represent two things. One, the innocence of just enjoying a puddle, like just jumping in a puddle and getting muddy. And it's just an innocent. And the other thing is the petals represent all of the tears that we've shed for our loved ones who have passed away along this journey of our life. So there's been many people who said, "Hey, can I set up a table and sell this or that or whatever?" And I'm like, "No, just come and jump. I don't
Yep.
want you to have. I don't want parents to have to worry about looking at a ticket if they won something when really the concept of National Puddle Day is to just reflect on your kids and your families and just enjoy innocent things. The same innocent thing that this little boy loved to do was jump in puddles. So that's my main focus. So we're able to donate boots all around the world. We donate a bunch to Nicaragua. We have given them out to different organizations, and we try to encourage everybody to write their name on the inside of the boot and maybe the first name with their last initial. And then the boots keep getting recirculated. So you can see that there might be 2 or 3 people who've already worn these boots. And then we redonate them. So every year, it's typically we try to do it the first weekend in May. And yeah, we try to do, and schools do it at different schools. They do it, but our main jump is always in Mouth.
And I have to say, Linda and I have participated since day one because we're very close to the family. But I have to congratulate you because what you did was take the memory of a beautiful child and turn it into years and years of fun for children and their parents jumping in those muddy puddles. I just love it. I have to congratulate you on that. You teach adults with disabilities. And I find that so fascinating. Could you talk about that aspect of your life?
So I owned a tutoring school for many years, probably at 25 years. First started teaching, working with one little guy who was just having some difficulties in the program. And so I kind of took him under my wing and said, listen, let me help support you a little bit more. Like you're struggling and the mom was getting really sad and frustrated that he wasn't hitting these milestones. So she said to me, like, would you mind tutoring him? I said, sure, I'll work with them, no problem. Right. So he would come to my parents' house every Saturday morning and I would work with him at the kitchen table for a couple hours. And then that mom told another mom, told another mom. And before we knew it, like my parents like, hey, Cher, all said day Saturday you're teaching. Like we need our house, right?
Yeah.
So I ended up building a portable in my backyard and started just teaching out of that. Lots of students, obviously. At some point, I think I had over 100-ish students that I was tutoring. Not all myself. I had about 8 or 9 different career coaches or tutors. And it was really very successful. So and I even transitioned that when I opened up Tutor Seeds, and we still did that in the evening as well. But then once, a lot of students were transitioning out and I was having my own kids, it was obviously becoming a lot because working all day, then doing all night, like there's, that family dynamics also has to be there as well. So I kind of like dwindled off with the tutoring school and, supported by students along the way as best as I could, but didn't take any new ones on. And then as they were good, then, I kind of filtered out. So we bought a piece of property across the street from Kinder Seeds. And from there, I had a lot of students that I still kind of worked 101 with, maybe about, 10 or 15. And one of the parents said to me, my son's graduating next year. I don't know what we're going to do. And I said, let me go and look at some of these day programs and see what's out there. And we'll figure this out together. Like, don't feel overwhelmed. Let me help you. So when I went, I started investigating some different day programs. It just didn't meet his needs. He was very functioning. I know he could work at some point. It's just a matter of getting him that training facility. So to my knowledge, I wasn't able to navigate anything within that system at that time. Now maybe now there's more, but at that time there wasn't. So I'd been writing curriculum for many years prior and just writing down different notes and stuff like that. I was like, okay, now's the time.
Wow.
So opened up this program and it's called ACI, so Apprenticeship Community Internship. Started off with 6 students and our very first team is called Team Awesome. I'm very happy to say every single student from Team Awesome has a job. He's on somebody's payroll. And so our 2 main goals at ACI is independent living or semi-independent living and part-time or full-time work. So a
Wow.
lot of our students, they just want the same opportunity as we all want. Options to feel wanted, to feel valued, to make sure that their life is very fulfilled. And our slogan there is why blend in when you're born to stand out. So
Wow.
we
Wow.
we really try not to shy away from their disabilities and their advantages. We really try to embrace those and say, okay, what's your thing? Okay, so you're autistic. What do you love to do? What do you not love to do? Let's put you in great situations where we can make sure that you stand out and that you are valued because you are here for a reason. You are here to teach us something. And to be honest with you, 9 times out of 10, they're teaching our team more than we're teaching.
Wow.
We learn so much from them. And it's same thing with at Kinder Seeds. Like our team between Kinder Seeds and ACI, we call it our team, the dream team. So we're constantly trying to make dreams come true. And it's really not about our own beliefs or what we feel is right. It's really listening to the families and the children and trying to have zero judgment and just allowing them to be who they need to be, but polishing them up and not letting them, oh, well, because they have downs, they can't do this, or because, they're autistic, they can't do that. Nope, they can do it. They just need time and they need a strong teacher that will allow them to teach them in the right capacity. So we have incredible staff, incredible team. Honestly, I couldn't do what I do without the team that we have and my family because really, I mean, they're involved in everything that we do and we do it together. So it's very nice. So
I,
ACI runs 3 days a week. So right. And right now so it runs full time, but the students only come 3 days a week because when they get a job, they don't have to pick. They can still maintain ACI and then they can still go to work. And we have Team Awesome, we have Team Brilliant, we have Team Courageous, Team Dynamite, Team Enthusiastic, and Team Fabulous will be starting in September. And each team has 8 students on it. We are very, very, very pleased to say that all of our students that are in their 4th year have received job opportunities. There's 1 or 2 that we're still hoping to get jobs for. So if anybody has any type of support, or would love to be able to support us, that would be incredible. We have a drive-through at ACI. So on Fridays, the students make fresh cookies and coffee and tea is free and the cookies are a donation.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then what happens is all of those funds that come in for a drive-through, we allow the students to do a bank deposit and check all that money, count it out, balance it out. And then all of those funds that we receive through the drive-through, we then put it into that team's fund. So if one of our students have not received a job by year 4, then we'll put them on our payroll and we will pay them at least 5 hours a week to do jobs around the school or within the community. So we really try to guarantee that each of the students will be working on somebody's payroll by year 4. So
Wow.
we do placements. So if you are we do lots of restaurants, we have dentist offices, we have farms, we have car stations, we have house cleaning. So all of those things, they're all very valuable. To you and I, maybe we don't love, necessarily cleaning dishes or clean the house, but some of these students love that. Laundry, they
Wow.
love laundry. So yeah, so what happens is we will do placement with you and we go with our students on placement. So we're not only teaching the students how to be employable, but we're also teaching the people that work in this community how to work with people with disabilities because that's the key. It's not that people don't want to be around. They just don't know. They're like, well, what happens if something happens? What would you
Correct.
just say to a typical child or a typical student? You would teach them the same way. So we are there to support you as an employee or employer, how to make these students become employable, but also how to become very inclusive within the community and your own businesses. So I've had lots of people say, wow, this is incredible. This customer comes in only because they know that these students are here on Tuesdays and they consistently come in on Tuesdays just to see what the students are doing. So that's how we get them jobs. So if anybody has any jobs available, big, small, whatever it is, like we've got students who are just incredible. They just want a job. They just want an
Wow.
opportunity.
Sherri, you're amazing. I'm telling you, you may be the best representative of what the great life can be. I congratulate you on it all. I know that you also have a before and after school homework program. You're working with kids, I imagine. You're helping them succeed. You're showing them love. And when you say before and after school, I would imagine, of course, they're not doing it during school hours, of course, but maybe some of these kids, and I don't know, I'm asking, have parents that work longer hours and they need help with their homework. So you're serving a purpose that way too. Am I correct?
Yeah, so basically, I mean, like, these are kids that would, the parents have to go to school, go to work prior to school time frames, right? So we are able to offer 30 spots in our before and after school program. Can receive the buses come and drop them off, and it's nice because as they graduate from the Community Day program and they get a little older, then we can still get to love them. They get to still come back and spend time with us, and if they need help with their homework, we help them. If not, games and just hanging out with them and just letting them be kids. We have a really beautiful, nice playground facility, and they love being outside. So we do spend the majority of our time outside after school and just let them run and play and have fun, right? And just know that this is their second home. So, even when I'm there during the summer and the hours, like lots of kids walk by and they're like, Miss Sherry, can I have a popsicle coming in? And, they'll send me pictures and, I've had Kinder Seeds now for 21 years.
Wow.
20, no, sorry,
Wow.
22 years, 22 years.
22. Wow.
So we have students who are like I have one student who is a pilot right now. And when he flies into Hamilton, he'll call me, "Hi, Miss Sherry, are you there?" Like, of course I'm here. So he'll come and see me. Or, we've got students who are lawyers now, and one that's a dentist, one that's a tattoo artist, and one that's a firefighters, and one that, so it's so incredible to see, the kind of turnaround. And even though I'm not that old, but some of them are
And
starting
you're
their own.
not.
Oh, absolutely not, but they're starting their own family and, it's a really nice community base. So we try to get back to the community as much as possible. We do like a Christmas tree lighting, we do an Easter egg hunt, we offer National Puddle Day, and, just trying to kind of build the community together as much as possible. And I know our ACI students, they love it because they get to come and sing and be a part of all of these things. And we are also offering student residence for our ACI, which I don't know if any other program offers that, where they're on their own. So we are actually teaching them how to live independently on their own in a house where they stay together and they love it. They're like, this is my bed. This is my TV. This is, my parents, and the only rules are they can't have baths, they can't have candles, and their parents are not allowed to sleep over. They have to try to do it on their own. So, but of course, we're there to support them as much as possible. And it's been very successful. And we're very proud of them for all of that as well.
Well, Sherry, I have to just wish you to continue to go from strength to strength. You have brought so much joy to so many people. You're an accomplished person, but you don't stay in your own little box being accomplished. You just have joy bringing it out as an example of a winning person, a motivator, a teacher, a person in love. And I have to tell you, we're just so glad to have you on the Your Gray Matters podcast. Continued success. And thank you for coming on today, Sherry.
Oh, thank you for having me. And, I think again, for me, the biggest thing is making sure that, you have those people around you that can support you, and being able to lean on people when you need them is really, really key. And for me, if never had my instructor, Grandmaster Brian, or my parents, my family, honestly, like it wouldn't be possible. So although it looks like I'm doing a lot, it's really not just me. I have an incredible team and
Yes.
support, and my friends are just second to none. There was like, "Hey, what's next adventure? What are we doing? What are we painting? What are we writing? What's happening now?" I'm like, so I promise my will slow down a little bit, but I don't know. It's just who I am. I just think you're on this earth for such a short period of time. Like, you're lucky to get 80 great, beautiful years, right? Anything after that, I think is a bonus. So I just try not to waste any time, like on little things. I really want to spend as much time as I can embracing other people's lives and just trying to make a difference.
Sherry, if people want to get a hold of you for any of your programs, what would be the best way?
I don't know. I guess depends on which way you're thinking about.
Yeah.
I think go on the internet, I guess, and either you can go to Kinder Seeds or ACI. The ACI program is for anybody over the age of 18 and older. And Kinder Seeds is 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. And then the before and after school program is basically 5 to 12-year-olds. So, and Taekwondo is 0 to 100. So if you're even thinking about joining anywhere, or if you've ever had that kind of little bit of, passion in you, definitely stop by. Everything's all in Mount Hope. It's all really kind of kitty corner to everything. And we just hope to kind of continue to grow and make people's lives more enriched whenever we can.
Well, you've enriched mine just by having you on the show, and I thank you for that. Hey, everybody, we'll be back next Monday with another great person. Thanks for tuning in, Sherri. And goodbye, everybody. We will see you next Monday on the Your Gray Matters podcast. Thanks for watching. If you found it interesting and you liked it, give us a thumbs up. If you're ready to subscribe, click right here. And if you'd like to see another episode, click right here. Tell a friend. Send us comments. Thanks a lot.